Welcome to the Lifestyle Herbalist, the podcast where holistic wellness meets everyday living. I'm your host, Dabney Vaccaro, registered dental hygienist, clinical herbalist, and certified health coach. We're passionate about bridging the gap between conventional medicine and plant-powered healing. Whether we're diving into oral microbiome health, the power of adaptogens, or just simple steps for vibrant living, our goal is to help you feel empowered with practical science-backed and earth-grown solutions. So grab your favorite cup of tea as we dive into this episode. Hi, welcome back to the Lifestyle Herbalist. As we are nearing the end of summer, fall is beginning, and with that comes those seasonal allergies. How many of you have ever woken up in the middle of the night because your nose is so stuffy that you can't breathe? Or spent the entire fall day feeling like your head is wrapped in cotton because of brain fog? Maybe you've even noticed that your gums are feeling irritated or that your mouth is dry from constant mouth breathing. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Allergies aren't just about sneezing and itchy eyes. They can really mess up your sleep, your oral health, and even your mental clarity. And if you're waiting until you've already been miserable to do something about it, well, you're fighting an uphill battle. Today we're going to talk about my favorite herbal ally for seasonal allergies. It's a tea blend of goldenrod, nettle, mullein, and elderflower. But here's the key. The best time to start this protocol isn't when you're already drowning in tissues. It's before the season hits. So let's break it down. Think of your immune system like a bouncer at the club. Normally it's chill, lets in the good stuff like nutrients and oxygen, and keeps out the troublemakers like viruses and bacteria. But during allergy season, well, the bouncer's just had too much coffee. It's overreacting to harmless things like pollen and dust or mold. And that histamine overload, it leads to inflammation, congestion, and all those fun symptoms really that we hate. Herbs like goldenrod and nettle don't just support and suppress the symptoms. They actually train your immune system to respond calmly. But it takes time. You really want to start 4 to 6 weeks before the allergy season begins because you want to give your body a chance to build some resilience so that when the pollen count rises, you're prepared instead of panicked. So let's take a deep dive into the herbs and why I put this blend together in my allergy relief tea. So goldenrod is a misunderstood anti-inflammatory. It gets a bad reputation because it blooms at the same time as ragweed, which is the real culprit behind many allergies. But unlike ragweed, goldenrod's pollen is heavy and sticky. It doesn't fly through the air, and Native Americans and European herbalists actually used it for sore throats and urinary tract health. Goldenrod is packed with flavonoids like quercetin. It's a natural antihistamine, and tannins that reduce inflammation in sinuses and mucous membranes. It's really great for that annoying postnasal drip as well. And then there's nettle. It's nature's antihistamine. Nettle has been used for centuries as a spring tonic, and Europeans would eat the young nettle greens to cleanse the blood after winter. It also has it's a nutritional powerhouse, which I've talked about on this podcast before. It's rich in iron, magnesium, and vitamin C. And nettle inhibits prostaglandins and histamine receptors, which means less sneezing and itching. And studies show it can be as effective as some over-the-counter allergy medications, and you don't get the drowsiness. Then we have mullein, which is a lung soother. Mullein's fuzzy leaves were once used as candle wicks. Mullein really has a very interesting history, and it was nicknamed nature's torch. Herbalists love it for its respiratory issues, and it was even smoked for coughs in some traditions, although we don't recommend that now, so don't get any ideas. Mullein's mucilage coats dry, irritated throat tissues, and it also contains saponins, which helps loosen congestion. So if you're waking up with a scratchy throat or mouth breathing, mullein, that is going to be your friend. Then we have elderflower, which is a lymphatic drainer. So the history of elder trees is that they were sacred in the European folklore. They were believed to ward off evil spirits, and elderflower was used for fevers and sinus infections, while elderberry, its cousin, is famous for immune support. Elderflower is a diaphoretic, which helps you sweat out the toxins, and it's a decongestant. It also supports lymphatic drainage and helps to reduce puffiness in sinuses and under your eyes. Who doesn't want that? But let's look at the bigger picture of how these allergies really affect your whole body. So it's not just a nose problem, it's a whole body stressor. So sleep. We've talked on this podcast many times about the importance of sleep. But when you can't breathe, congestion, mouth breathing, dry mouth, waking up thirsty, poor sleep equals worse immune function, equals more allergies, and it's a vicious cycle. Then we have the effects of oral health. Mouth breathing dries out the saliva, which normally protects our teeth and gums, which, if you have a dry mouth, puts you at a higher risk for oral disease, like cavities and gingivitis. So less saliva, like I said, equals more cavities and gum irritation. Then we have brain fog. Histamine triggers inflammation in the brain too. Ever feel like you're moving through molasses during allergy season? Well, that's why. It's that brain fog. Most people think of allergies as a nuisance, sneezing, itchy eyes, maybe even a runny nose. But allergies really is a full body inflammatory response, and it can really mess you up. So our immune system is supposed to protect us from real threats like viruses and bacteria. But with allergies, it's like that friend who screams at a spider, overreacting to something harmless. And pollen, dust, and pet dander are just those things. Allergens enter the body, and the immune system freaks out. It releases histamine and other inflammatory chemicals. And histamine triggers the swelling, the mucus production, and itching. So these are the symptoms that typically occur. But the chaos doesn't stop there. Beyond the sneezing, the systemic domino effect is that you get brain fog and fatigue, and it's like an allergy hangover. Histamine crosses the blood-brain barrier, which then triggers the brain inflammation, which then triggers the slowdown of cognitive function, which then means poor sleep from congestion, and it just gets worse from there. When histamine crosses the blood-brain barrier, it triggers brain inflammation, and it slows down cognitive function. And then having poor sleep, well, it just makes things worse. It's like walking into the room and you can't remember why you walked into the room. So that's the brain fog. But then with sleep disruption, we get nasal congestion. It forces mouth breathing and it dries out our throat. And then we wake up. Then we get postnasal drip, and that triggers then coughing fits. And if you've ever been in a dental office or work in a dental office or a medical office and you wear masks, that just triggers things even more. That really does dry out the mouth. But it's just a vicious cycle. Poor sleep weakens the immune system, worsens the allergies, and repeat. Oral health problems, well, there's that mouth breathing. It dries out our saliva, which gives us less protection against bacteria, which then gives us a higher risk of cavities, gum irritation, and bad breath. And there's sinus pressure, which can even sometimes cause tooth pain. Oh, that's confusion too with the dental visit. I've had plenty of people who've come in over the years who have said they have tooth pain, and really their tooth is fine. But in those upper teeth, the roots actually lay right below or above, how you're going to look at it, the sinus cavities. So the sinus cavities kind of lay right on top of some of those molars in the upper teeth. And so when those sinus cavities are filled with and are inflamed, oftentimes it puts pressure on the nerve endings of the tooth and makes the teeth hurt. I remember my own experience as a late teen going to the dental office. I'd never had I'd had one cavity at that point in my life. And I thought, oh gosh, I got a toothache. It hurts so bad. But the dentist says, no, your tooth is fine. You've never had anything done to it. It's a virgin tooth. It's good. I think you just have some sinus issues. And, after a couple of days, it did go away. So it does cause some confusion sometimes in some dental visits. But let's think about like our gut and our skin. We talk a lot on this podcast also about gut issues, but the gut connection is 70% of our immune system is in the gut. So chronic inflammations can cause inflammation in our gut as well. And many allergy sufferers often deal with bloating, IBS flares, and food sensitivities. So really getting this allergy under control and getting ahead of it is so beneficial. There's also eczema flare-ups that can happen with allergies, hives. It's just our body is just so inflamed that any little thing that sometimes is in balance, it just throws our whole body into a cascade. So long-term risks, when it's not just seasonal allergies, we can get chronic inflammation. Untreated allergies keep our body in constant state of stress, and it's linked to a higher risk of autoimmune conditions like heart disease and even depression. And then there's respiratory issues. Long-term nasal congestion can lead to sinus infections, ear infections, or even asthma. So breaking the cycle is really what I want to nail home today on this podcast. Is conventional allergy medications like antihistamines block symptoms, but they never address the root cause, which is an overzealous immune system. And the herbs, on the other hand, they modulate the immune system. They teach it to chill out. They also reduce inflammation systemically, not just in the nose. And it supports detox pathways like the liver, the lymph, and the gut to clear allergens faster. So, what you can do is you start early, like 4 to 6 weeks before the allergy season. You start making your tea, and you have up to 4 cups a day. Everyone's a little bit different. It depends on your level of allergy suffering. But if you just have mild symptoms, probably 2 cups a day. But if you have full-blown allergy issues going on, I would certainly say 4 cups a day for a couple of weeks prior to, and then level it off to about 2 cups a day and just take it right on in through the allergy season. Now, the idea is that you teach your body, because what we're doing is we're getting to the root cause, not just treating the symptoms in the nose. We are getting to the root. So by doing this 4 to 6 weeks in the spring, if you have allergy season in the spring, and the fall, if you have fall allergies, you do this 4 to 6 weeks prior, and you keep going through the allergy season. After a few years of doing this, I've had patients, or clients, I should say, who have come to me to say, wow, their allergies have just pretty much gone away, or they have very little suffering whatsoever during the allergy season. Because again, we're getting to that root cause, and it teaches your body to react differently. It also supports the gut. Probiotics, bone broth, and quercetin-rich foods like onions and apples can also be beneficial, along with the tea. You can also use a nasal rinse. I really love the clear nasal spray. It's my go-to, but cleaning our nose is so important to flush out the allergens before they even trigger the reaction. And small doses of local honey has been shown to be very helpful with seasonal allergies, as it helps to desensitize the immune system. So, allergies are a whole body alarm. It's not just in your nose and in your head, which also sometimes can give headaches. The sneezes aren't just a nose problem. It's a signal that your immune system needs some rebalancing. And by working preventively with herbs, diet, and lifestyle tweaks, you're not just surviving the allergy season, you're rewriting your body's response to those triggers. So, if you have allergies, consider trying an allergy relief tea. I'm going to put a link to my allergy relief tea in the show notes if it's something that you'd like to try. I'd greatly appreciate that. And I would love to know what you have done that has worked for you. If you know someone who could benefit from hearing this, I'd appreciate it if you would share. And in the meantime, between now and next week, breathe well and take care. Until next time.